friend, I suppose I'll leave the financial institution out of it. I won't tell you who he works for, but his sole purpose, his job, is to come up with new trading instruments that us as retail clients end up trading. And you'll find things come up and new instruments come up all the time just to grab the attention of the new trader to get them to jump over to something else. So there's always going to be new products, and there are always lots of different products out there. And like Stuart said, at the moment the Forex is something that's in vogue, and you'll hear it front and center, and everybody seems to be attracted to that because of the high leverage. But what you've got to realize when we go back to doing the self-assessment and you look at those attributes and you think about how much time you're looking to commit, what's your risk level and things like that. If you're trading any of the high leveraged instruments, you're going to need to be able to keep an eye on that, and you're probably going to trade a shorter term trading system. So don't look at try and trade the foreign exchange, which is a high leveraged instrument, if you can't trade short term aggressive trading systems. Not only that, if you're new, don't go and trade the Forex because of the high amount of leverage. The chances are you're going to lose money. Stuart said something very early at the start, saying your goal for the first 12 months should not to not lose money. So how about trade something that reduces that level of risk? If you've never traded something before, start with stocks. I don't know how many times I can say this before it will sink in, but that's where you should start. Unless you can make money there, there's no point in looking at any of the other instruments.
Yep, thanks, Dave. Another statistic, and I guess we know some people on the inside, so to speak, and an amazing statistic I heard maybe earlier this year was from someone who works at a CFD provider, a contracts for different provider, and he said the average starting account, opening account is $5,000, and it must be the minimum that they all set for that. And he said within 3 months, some ridiculous high percentage, and he was talking in the 80–90% mark, of those accounts have next to nothing left in them after 3 months. So there's all these $5 just keep on going, and they must just lap it up. That's why they're in business. So clearly all those people, and that's fine, the attraction is there to make, I mean, we're making money, so we think about making money faster and more of it. So we're just, almost being dragged by some force that's beyond us to move over and trade those products, but you've got to lay the foundations. You just have to have those skills. And if we think long term, what does it matter if we wait 5 years before we start trading perhaps a more leveraged product like options or CFDs? They're not going anywhere. And as Dave said, there's actually only going to be more opportunity for us to trade different products with leverage. Now, I know that there's someone in the room that has, in fact, a fair amount of experience with trading futures. And Mark, I'm putting you on the spot here, but would you mind actually just making some comments? Probably just more about what I'm saying now about the leverage and how the suitability for beginners, and perhaps, because I know your expertise is in futures. So thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Stuart. My name is Mark Banwell. I work for the Australian Stock Report as the commodities and futures analyst. I've been involved with the futures caper for probably about 20 years, buying my first physical product of gold back in the late 70s when it started to take off into the highs of 1980. And since then I've been more or less in and out of the share market, sort of drifting in and out and then taking it up seriously again towards the end of the 90s, just after the dot-com boom. But I fully endorse what Stuart has said here today in relation to your approach to trading. This is not an easy caper. It's probably the most difficult profession ever engages in the world and to be successful at. It's equivalent to being a professional golfer, Formula One driver, any of those professions, top level brain surgeon, and it takes a lot of time, study, dedication, effort, discipline, and all of the other traits that Stuart has put forward early this morning. But just to support what Stuart and Dave have said about the trading products, one of the biggest supplements I could say is that you've got to know your market. And it takes many, many years just to get from level 1 of the share market to trading these other more exotic products. And the risk is far greater. For example, one thing that's not mentioned in futures is the margin required. And to trade, for example, the S&P 500 or the one of the US indices, you require a $22,000 US margin for one contract. So that means that for every contract you want to trade, you have to stump up $22,000 US to your futures broker.
Before you can start.
Before you can start.
Yep. Okay.
So that's the level of risk that you take upon yourself when you start trading. And as Stuart said, when you get it wrong big time. And people have lost everything because they've gone into it thinking that they're going to make these rapid killings and end up losing the lot and everything, their marriage, their life, their family, the whole lot. So, I put the realities forward to you is that don't take on these exotic instruments until you can trade shares successfully. That's the biggest word of warning I can give everybody.
Thank you.
It's just not for everybody.
Thanks, Mark. That's terrific. Thank you for that counsel. It's certainly wise counsel, and it just endorses, echoes what I said earlier. So thanks for that. Thank you for the contribution. Having said that, there's always exceptions to the rule, and you should never use the exception as an example that I'm going to. I just know someone who's quite young, and I'm only 22 or 23, and he started straight into Forex. Again, the excitement, and he's doing really well. But it's just not the model. It's not the example that we thought of. That can be me, because I think he's probably won in a very, very big number that made it through and was able to just pick it up very quickly. I guess had the tolerance to risk early on and just develop the right skills to be able to trade that very well. But certainly, that's terrific, Mark. A great contribution about how they're just a different level, I guess, then again, beyond stocks. Hence the experience that we do talk about.